In the heart of the dense forest stood a quaint cottage, its time-worn facade illuminated by the eerie glow of the moon. The trees whispered secrets as the night embraced the land. A group of friends, curious but cautious, approached the cottage. Each step closer filled them with a sense of foreboding, but their curiosity drove them forward into the unknown. Inside the cottage, cobwebs hung from the ceiling like ghostly curtains, and the furniture lay shrouded in dust, untouched by human hands for years. The air was heavy with the scent of decay. As they explored further, the friends encountered ethereal figures drifting through the rooms. Their forms were translucent, and their presence sent shivers down the spines of the intruders. Antique relics and artifacts were scattered throughout the cottage, each telling a story of its haunted past. The friends dared not touch them, fearing the spirits that lingered within. A chill ran down their spines as the friends felt the weight of eyes upon them, unseen but undeniably present. They knew they were not alone, and the presence that lurked in the shadows filled them with dread. Outside the cottage, the woods seemed to come alive with twisted shapes and eerie sounds. The trees whispered secrets, and the wind carried the echoes of long-forgotten voices. Panic gripped them as they tried to flee the cottage, but an invisible barrier seemed to block their path. The more they struggled, the tighter it seemed to constrict around them, trapping them within the haunted confines. In a heart-stopping moment, the friends came face to face with a malevolent spirit that materialized before them. Its eyes glowed with malice, and its form twisted and contorted with rage as it sought to claim their souls. Armed with only their bravery and determination, the friends battled against the malevolent spirit. Their voices rang out in defiance as they fought to banish it from the cottage and break the curse that held it captive. Just when all seemed lost, a blinding light filled the cottage, dispelling the darkness and banishing the malevolent spirit. The friends shielded their eyes, knowing that they had emerged victorious against the forces of evil. With the malevolent spirit banished, the cottage fell silent once more. The friends emerged into the moonlit night, their hearts heavy but their spirits lifted by the knowledge that they had faced their fears and emerged victorious. As they walked away from the cottage, the friends knew that the memory of their encounter would stay with them forever. But they took comfort in the knowledge that they had confronted the darkness and emerged into the light, stronger for having faced their fears head-on. For friends arrive at Willow Lake, a secluded retreat nestled amidst towering pines and tranquil waters. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. The air is crisp, carrying the scent of pine needles and distant campfires. They settle into a rustic cabin overlooking Willow Lake, its wooden walls glowing warmly in the twilight. Smoke curls from the chimney, blending with the scent of pine. The cabin is cozy yet rustic, filled with the echoes of past laughter and solitude. Emma plans their weekend adventures, while Matt unpacks with practical efficiency. Hannah senses a peaceful energy in the cabin, a stark contrast to the foreboding forest outside. Jake suggests exploring the lake under the stars, eager to make the most of their retreat. As they gather around a crackling fire, a local tells them the legend of Willow Lake. Stories speak of restless spirits and mysterious disappearances dating back centuries. A faded old map marks locations of interest, including a secluded island rumored to be cursed. Emma listens intently, fascinated by the supernatural tales. Matt remains skeptical, attributing the stories to overactive imaginations. Hannah feels a shiver down her spine, sensing unseen eyes watching from the darkness. Jake's excitement grows, eager to uncover the truth behind the legends. Under the shimmering glow of the moon, they embark on a midnight boat ride across Willow Lake. The water is calm, reflecting the starlit sky like a mirror. The forest whispers secrets along the shore, its shadows dancing in the moonlight. Emma rows with determination, eager to reach the secluded island. Matt watches the ripples in the water with cautious curiosity. Hannah's intuition warns her of unseen dangers lurking beneath the surface. Jake scans the horizon, his excitement tinged with a hint of unease. They land on the cursed island, shrouded in mist and mystery. Ancient ruins peek through overgrown vegetation, remnants of a forgotten civilization. The air is heavy with the weight of centuries-old secrets, echoing with whispers carried on the wind. Emma leads the exploration, drawn to the ruins like a moth to flame. Matt examines the structures with analytical curiosity, searching for logical explanations. Hannah senses a presence lingering among the ruins, a ghostly echo of the past. Jake ventures deeper into the underbrush, seeking treasures hinted at in the legends. As midnight approaches, they discover eerie symbols carved into ancient stones. The symbols glow faintly in the moonlight, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. A mysterious force stirs within the ruins, awakening something long forgotten and restless. Emma reaches out tentatively, her curiosity piqued by the symbol's allure. Matt's skepticism wavers as he witnesses the supernatural phenomena. Hannah's empathy connects with the ancient spirits, sensing their plea for release. Jake's thrill turns to apprehension as the island's dark secrets unfold. Ghostly apparitions materialize among the ruins, their forms translucent and flickering in the moonlight. They whisper in forgotten tongues, their voices echoing through the night. The air grows cold, filled with sorrow and longing. Emma tries to communicate with the spirits, her voice trembling with awe and fear. Matt struggles to comprehend the supernatural events unfolding before him. Hannah offers comfort to the restless souls, her empathy bridging the gap between worlds. Jake captures the haunting on camera, documenting their encounter with the unknown. Terrified by the haunting, they hastily retreat from the cursed island. Shadows loom ominously as they row back to Willow Lake, their hearts pounding with fear. Moonlight guides their way, casting a pale glow over the water. Emma rows furiously, determination lending strength to her tired limbs. Matt looks back uneasily, fearing the spirits' wrath. Hannah's empathy lingers with the spirits, whispering promises of peace. Jake's camera captures their frantic escape, preserving their harrowing journey for posterity. As they leave Willow Lake behind, the friends carry memories of their supernatural encounter. The lake glistens serenely at sunrise, its mysteries hidden beneath calm waters. Birds chirp in the distance, oblivious to the night's haunting. Though they return to their lives, the friends are forever changed by the haunting of Willow Lake. They cherish their bond forged in the crucible of fear and fascination, vowing to remember the spirits who whispered their stories in the heart of the enchanted forest. The small town of Black Hollow was known for its eerie forest that no one dared to enter at night. Despite the rumors, a group of 5 friends, Alice, Ben, Claire, Dan, and Emily, decided to camp in the forest for the weekend. They were excited by the challenge and curious about the mysterious stories they had heard. As they arrived at the edge of the forest, the sun was setting, casting long shadows among the ancient trees. They unloaded their camping gear and began their hike into the forest. The air was filled with the scent of pine and damp earth. Birds sang their evening songs, and the rustling leaves created an unsettling background noise. After a couple of hours of hiking, they found a small clearing perfect for their campsite. They set up their tents and gathered around a makeshift fire pit. As darkness fell, the forest became silent. The friends told stories and laughed, trying to ignore the growing feeling of unease. Claire, the most adventurous, suggested they explore deeper into the forest the next day. Ben, the skeptic, dismissed the tales as old legends. But as they settled into their tents for the night, an uneasy feeling settled over them. The first night was restless. Alice woke up to the sound of whispering voices. She sat up, her heart pounding, and listened closely. The whispers seemed to come from the trees, growing louder and more urgent. She nudged Dan, who was sleeping beside her, but the whispers stopped as soon as he woke. Dismissing it as a figment of her imagination, Alice tried to sleep again. Outside, something moved in the shadows. A pair of glowing eyes watched the campsite from the darkness, vanishing as quickly as they appeared. The next morning, the friends woke to find strange symbols carved into the trees around their campsite. Claire, intrigued, took pictures while Ben dismissed them as a prank. Dan and Emily felt uneasy, but agreed to follow Claire's plan to explore deeper into the forest. As they ventured further, The forest seemed to close in around them. The air grew colder, and the silence was punctuated by the occasional crack of a twig or rustle of leaves. They stumbled upon an old, abandoned cabin. Its windows were broken, and the door hung ajar. Vinbin MCC Hun curiosity got the better of them, and they decided to enter the cabin. The inside was dark and musty, filled with old, decaying furniture. As they explored, they found more symbols etched into the walls and floor. A sense of dread hung heavy in the air. In one of the rooms, they discovered an old journal. Claire eagerly opened it, revealing pages filled with frantic, barely legible writing. It spoke of a dark presence in the woods, something ancient and malevolent that fed on the fear of those who entered its domain. As Claire read from the journal, the whispers returned, louder and more insistent than before. The friends looked at each other in fear. Ben, still skeptical, suggested leaving immediately, but Alice insisted they stay together and figure out what was happening. Suddenly, the cabin door slammed shut, the windows darkened, and the temperature dropped. The friends huddled together, feeling an oppressive force closing in on them. They realized late that the stories about the forest were true. They were trapped. Panicking, the friends tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers grew louder, turning into guttural chants. The symbols on the walls began to glow, casting an eerie light. Desperate, Ben found an old axe and started hacking at the door. With a final, desperate swing, the door burst open. They ran out into the forest, the chants following them. The trees seemed to close in, the forest becoming a maze. They could hear footsteps behind them, but every time they looked back, they saw nothing. Exhausted and terrified, the friends found themselves back at their campsite. The fire was still burning, providing a small circle of light and warmth. They gathered around it, trying to catch their breath. The whispers were now all around them, an inescapable cacophony. Alice remembered the journal and frantically searched through it, hoping to find a way to stop the entity. She found a passage about a ritual that could banish the spirit, but it required a sacrifice. The friends looked at each other, realizing what they had to do. With heavy hearts, they decided that Ben, who had been the most skeptical, would stay behind to perform the ritual. He accepted his fate, knowing it was their only chance. Alice gave him the journal, and the others started running towards the edge of the forest. Ben stood by the fire, chanting the words from the journal. The shadows closed in, and the air grew colder. As he completed the ritual, a piercing scream echoed through the woods. The ground shook, and a blinding light enveloped the campsite. The next morning, Alice, Claire, Dan, and Emily reached the edge of the forest, exhausted but alive. They looked back, but there was no sign of Ben or the glowing light. The forest was silent once more. As they returned to town, they vowed never to speak of what happened. The whispers had stopped, but the memory of that night would haunt them forever. Black Hollow remained a quiet town, and the forest continued to stand, dark and silent, a testament to the horrors within. 5 friends stood at the edge of Ravenwood Manor, its decaying structure looming ominously against the night sky. The air was thick with an eerie silence, only broken by the distant hoot of an owl. Jack, the boldest among them, dared everyone to spend the night in the haunted house. With nervous laughter and racing hearts, they accepted the challenge, armed with flashlights and sleeping bags. They had heard the tales of the manor's dark past, but their curiosity and desire for adventure outweighed their fear. The front door creaked loudly as they pushed it open, revealing a dark, musty hallway. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated by the beams of their flashlights. The wallpaper was peeling, and cobwebs adorned the corners. The wooden floors groaned under their weight, and the air was thick with the smell of decay. They moved cautiously, every creak and whisper of the old house making their hearts pound harder. Despite their bravado, an oppressive sense of unease settled over them. The friends decided to split up to cover more ground. Jack and Emma explored the grand living room, where tattered furniture and a dusty chandelier hinted at past opulence. Sam and Lily found an old library, its shelves filled with ancient books and strange artifacts. Mike wandered into the kitchen, filled with rusty utensils and an old pantry. Unexplained noises echoed through the manor, raising the hair on the back of their necks. The sense of being watched grew stronger with each passing minute. Emma stumbled upon a hidden door behind a bookshelf in the library. With a cautious push, it opened to reveal a small, dark room filled with old photographs and a diary. The photographs depicted a once happy family whose faces turned somber in each successive picture. The diary's pages detailed a family tragedy and an unsolved mystery, including entries about strange occurrences and ominous warnings. Emma called the others, and they gathered to read the chilling account, their fear growing with every word. As night fell, the manor came alive with supernatural activity. Doors slammed shut on their own, eerie whispers filled the air, and ghostly figures flitted at the edge of their vision. The temperature dropped suddenly, and their breath became visible in the freezing air. The friends huddled together, their fear growing as they realized they were not alone in the manor. Objects moved on their own, and faint footsteps echoed in the halls. Panic began to set in as the reality of their situation became undeniable. In a desperate bid for answers, the friends decided to hold a séance. They sat in a circle in the library, holding hands, and called out to the spirits of Ravenwood Manor. The room grew cold, and a ghostly presence began to materialize, revealing the manor's dark secrets. The candles they lit flickered violently, and the air buzzed with energy. They felt a heavy, oppressive force pressing down on them as they chanted, their voices trembling with fear. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation and dread. A spectral figure of a young girl appeared before them, her face a mask of sorrow. She recounted the horrific events that led to her family's murder and her own untimely death. The friends listened in shock as she pleaded for their help to find peace and end the manor's curse. Her voice was soft and echoing, filled with pain and desperation. Tears streamed down her ghostly cheeks as she pointed towards the basement, indicating where the truth lay buried. The friends felt a mix of fear and compassion, determined to help her. Determined to help, the friends scoured the manor for more clues. They found hidden letters and a secret passage that led to the basement. In the dimly lit basement, they uncovered evidence of the family's tragic end, including old newspaper clippings, blood-stained clothing, and a locket with the girl's picture. The air was thick with the scent of decay and the oppressive weight of past horrors. As they pieced together the story, the full extent of the manor's dark history was revealed, filling them with a sense of dread and urgency. The basement was a grim repository of forgotten pain and suffering. In the basement, they confronted the malevolent spirit responsible for the murders. Guided by the young girl's spirit, they performed a ritual to banish the evil entity. The air crackled with energy as the spirit resisted, manifesting as a dark, shadowy figure with glowing eyes. The friends chanted the incantation, their voices shaking but determined. The oppressive force intensified, making it difficult to breathe. Just as it seemed the spirit would overpower them, a bright light erupted, and the entity was vanquished. The basement fell silent, the air cleared, and the heavy weight lifted. With the ritual complete, the evil spirit was vanquished. Exhausted but relieved, the friends hurried out of the manor as dawn broke. The young girl's spirit appeared one last time, smiling gratefully before fading away, leaving the house finally at peace. The manor, bathed in the soft morning light, no longer looked menacing, but rather like a sad relic of the past. The friends felt a profound sense of accomplishment and a deep bond from their shared ordeal. They walked away from the manor, feeling lighter and more connected than ever. In the stillness of the night, the graveyard stood silent, shadows dancing beneath the pale moonlight, whispering of forgotten souls and ancient secrets. With nervous steps, the group ventured into the graveyard, their curiosity outweighing their fear as they approached the looming tombstones. As they moved deeper into the graveyard, the air grew heavy with an unsettling tension, the shadows stretching and twisting with unnatural movement. Suddenly, strange lights began to flicker among the graves, casting an eerie glow that illuminated ghostly figures hovering just beyond the reach of the living. Amidst the graves, the friends stumbled upon an ancient crypt, its withered stone walls bearing the weight of centuries of forgotten souls. A chill wind swept through the graveyard, carrying with it the faint whispers of the restless dead, their voices echoing through the silent night. With a sense of growing unease, the friends attempted to leave the graveyard, only to find themselves enveloped by a suffocating darkness that seemed to swallow them whole. In a chilling moment, the friends came face to face with the vengeful spirit that haunted the graveyard, its eyes burning with an otherworldly rage as it sought vengeance for sins long past. Armed with only their bravery, the friends battled against the vengeful spirit, their voices raised in a desperate plea to send it back to the darkness from whence it came. Just when all seemed lost, a blinding light filled the graveyard, casting out the shadows and revealing the truth behind the haunting. With the vengeful spirit banished, the graveyard fell silent once more, its haunting presence lifted by the bravery of the friends who dared to confront it. As they stepped into the moonlit night, they knew they had faced their fears and emerged victorious. With the graveyard fading into the distance behind them, the friends walked away, their hearts lighter now that they had faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. But as they left, they knew that the memory of their harrowing ordeal would stay with them forever. In the heart of a dense forest, an isolated cabin stands forgotten. Its walls are weathered and its windows broken, with ivy creeping up the sides. The air is thick with silence, disturbed only by the rustling of leaves and distant creaks of old wood. A group of friends, Emma, Ben, Sarah, Alex, and Mia, arrive at the abandoned cabin. They carry backpacks and flashlights, their faces reflecting a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Dark clouds gather overhead, casting a shadow over the desolate landscape as they approach the cabin cautiously. They step inside the cabin, flashlight beams cutting through the gloom. Dust hangs in the air, and cobwebs cling to neglected furniture. The floorboards creak underfoot as they explore each room, their voices hushed in reverence for the eerie stillness that envelops them. Vinbin MCC Hunty find old photographs and torn journal pages scattered on a dusty table. The photographs depict faces frozen in time, their expressions haunted. The journal pages speak of a tragedy of loss, regret, and a presence that lingers in the cabin shadows. Goosebumps rise on their arms as they piece together the cabin's unsettling history. They descend into the basement, cobwebs brushing against their faces. The air grows colder, and their flashlights reveal flickering lights and ominous shadows that seem to move on their own. The silence is punctuated by distant whispers, raising the hair on the back of their necks as they navigate the labyrinth in depths. They encounter eerie phenomena, objects floating in midair and unexplained cold spots that send chills down their spines. Shadows dance along the walls, twisting and elongating in unnatural ways. Fear tightens their chests as they realize they are not alone in the cabin. Something unseen watches their every move. A malevolent presence manifests a shadowy figure at the end of a dark hallway. Its form is indistinct yet menacing, exuding an aura of ancient malice. The friends freeze, their breaths shallow as they feel the weight of its gaze upon them, filling the cabin with an oppressive dread. Psychological deterioration sets in, paranoia grips their minds, and hallucinations distort their perceptions. Shadows loom ominously, whispering secrets and planting seeds of doubt. Tensions rise among the friends as they struggle to discern reality from the macabre illusions that plague their sanity. They flee the cabin in terror, their footsteps echoing in the silence of the forest. Moonlight casts long shadows that seem to reach for them, their hearts pounding with the fear of what they have witnessed. Adrenaline fuels their escape, each step carrying them further from the malevolent presence that lurks within the cabin's walls. The abandoned cabin stands silent and ominous in the moonlight, its secrets buried within its decaying walls. The friends gather at a safe distance, their faces pale with the weight of their harrowing experience. They know the cabin's darkness will haunt them forever, a reminder of the shadows that lurk where the living dare not tread. The cabin fades into the distance as dawn breaks, leaving behind a lingering sense of dread. Nature reclaims its hold on the forsaken structure, but the memories of what transpired within its walls remain etched in the minds of those who dared to uncover its chilling mysteries. In the moonlit night, an abandoned mansion stands silent, its once grand facade now a haunting reminder of the secrets it holds within. A group of friends, drawn by curiosity and a sense of adventure, cautiously approach the abandoned mansion, their footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. With trepidation, the friends step inside the mansion's foyer, the air heavy with the musty scent of neglect and decay as they venture further into its depths. As they explore the mansion, the friends encounter strange phenomena, shadows that seem to dance and shift with a life of their own, and whispers that echo through the empty halls, sending shivers down their spines. In the heart of the mansion, the friends stumble upon a forgotten ballroom, its once opulent beauty now faded and worn, the echoes of laughter and music long since silenced. Within the ballroom, an unsettling feeling settles over the friends, as if unseen eyes are watching their every move, and a malevolent presence lurks in the shadows. With growing unease, the friends navigate through the mansion's narrow corridors, the stern faces of long-dead ancestors staring down at them from faded portraits that line the walls. With fear gnawing at their hearts, the friends try to leave the mansion, only to find their path blocked by an invisible barrier, trapping them within its haunted halls. In a chilling moment, the friends come face to face with the vengeful spirit that haunts the mansion, its eyes burning with fury as it seeks revenge on those who dare to intrude upon its domain. Vinben MCC Hun, armed with only their bravery, the friends battle against the vengeful spirit, their voices raised in a desperate bid to banish it from the mansion and free themselves from its grip. Just when all seems lost, a blinding light fills the mansion, dispelling the shadows and revealing the truth behind the haunting. With the vengeful spirit banished, the mansion falls silent once more, its haunted halls now empty of the darkness that once held sway. As the friends step out into the moonlit night, they know they have faced their fears and emerged victorious. With the mansion fading into the darkness behind them, the friends walk away, their hearts heavy with the weight of their harrowing ordeal. But as they leave, they know that the memory of their encounter with the echoes of the abandoned will stay with them forever. In a dense forest, a moonlit clearing emerges. Ancient trees loom tall, their gnarled branches casting long, ominous shadows on the ground below. The air is still, save for the occasional rustle of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. The clearing feels both serene and foreboding, setting the stage for the unfolding horror. A group of friends, James, Sarah, Michael, Emily, and Alex, arrive at the forest clearing. Their expressions are a mix of excitement and unease as they step into the moonlit glade. They carry backpacks and flashlights, their footsteps muffled by fallen leaves. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation, tinged with a subtle sense of dread. Vinben MCC Hunty pitch tents and start a campfire in the clearing, the flames casting flickering shadows that dance on the tree trunks. The sky above darkens gradually, stars beginning to twinkle through the canopy of leaves. The friends laugh nervously, trying to shake off the eerie feeling that grows with the encroaching darkness. They sit around the crackling campfire, its warmth a stark contrast to the cool night air. Sarah, with shadows playing on her face, recounts an old local legend she heard about these woods. Her voice lowers to a whisper as she speaks of restless spirits and a curse that befalls those who linger too long in the Whispering Grove. Goosebumps rise on their arms as the tale sinks in, the forest seeming to hold its breath. Vinben MCC Hun, as night deepens. Strange rustling and whispering noises echo from the darkness beyond the fire's glow. The friends exchange uneasy glances, their senses on high alert. The forest seems alive, with unseen eyes watching them, and a chill wind sends shivers down their spines despite the warmth of the fire. They discover that Emily is missing, her flashlight left abandoned at the edge of the clearing. Panic sets in as they call out her name into the dark woods, their voices swallowed by the oppressive silence. Fear grips their hearts as they realize they are no longer alone in the Whispering Grove. Armed with flashlights, they venture into the forest, casting beams of light into the thick underbrush and around twisted trees. Every shadow seems to hide a lurking threat, and the trees whisper secrets they dare not comprehend. Branches creak overhead, and the forest floor crunches underfoot. Amplifying their sense of dread with each step deeper into the unknown, they discover a gnarled, ancient tree with strange markings etched into its bark. A hollow, dark entrance at its base beckons them closer, the air around it thick with a malevolent presence. They approach cautiously, their breaths coming in shallow gasps as they realize this tree holds the key to Emily's disappearance and the horrors lurking within the Whispering Grove. A ghostly figure materializes from the shadows, its eyes glowing with malice as it approaches them near the haunted tree. Its form flickers in and out of visibility, emitting a chilling wail that pierces the night. The friends freeze in terror, their minds struggling to comprehend the unearthly being that stands before them, demanding retribution for disturbing the Whispering Grove. At dawn, they flee the Whispering Grove, their hearts pounding with adrenaline and fear. They're tense, and the dying embers of the campfire dwindle in the distance behind them. The forest seems to release them reluctantly, shadows stretching ominously as they leave, their minds scarred by the horrors they witnessed in the haunted woods. As sunrise bathes the Whispering Grove in golden light, the ancient trees cast long shadows over the abandoned campsite. The forest remains silent, its secrets buried within the darkness. The friends gather at a safe distance, their faces etched with the lingering terror of their night in the haunted woods. They know the Whispering Grove will haunt their dreams forever, a reminder of the darkness that dwells where the living dare not tread. In the heart of a mist-shrouded forest stood Blackwood Manor, a sprawling estate that had long been abandoned to its dark history. 5 friends, Jessica, Mark, Amy, David, and Lisa, ventured to the manor one stormy night, drawn by tales of ghostly apparitions and unsolved mysteries. As they approached, lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating the ivy-covered walls and broken windows of the manor. The wind howled through skeletal branches, creating an eerie symphony that sent chills down their spines. Despite their growing apprehension, they pressed on, determined to uncover the truth behind Blackwood Manor's sinister reputation. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the musty scent of decay. The grand hall greeted them with faded opulence, tattered tapestries hung from the walls, and a cobweb-covered chandelier swayed gently overhead. David's flashlight flickered as they explored, casting unsettling shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. Amy stumbled upon an old portrait gallery, its frames filled with faces frozen in time. Some seemed to glare malevolently, their eyes following the group's every move. As they ventured deeper into the hall, whispers echoed from unseen corners, the voices barely audible yet laden with sorrow and longing. As midnight approached, they gathered in a forgotten library lined with shelves of decaying books. Moonlight filtered through cracked windows, casting ethereal patterns on the threadbare carpet. Mark's voice quivered as he recounted the tragic tale of the manor's former inhabitants, a family torn apart by betrayal and madness. Suddenly, books flew off the shelves with a force that defied explanation. Cold drafts swept through the room, causing candles to gutter and flicker ominously. Lisa caught a glimpse of a spectral figure, a young girl in a blood-stained dress, her eyes wide with terror before vanishing into thin air. Driven by a mix of fear and curiosity, they descended into the manor's neglected basement, a labyrinth of crumbling stone and forgotten relics. Jessica discovered a hidden chamber, its walls adorned with arcane symbols and remnants of occult rituals. A sense of dread hung heavy in the stale air. They uncovered an ancient diary, its pages filled with the fevered writings of a former resident who spoke of summoning dark entities in a desperate bid for power. The diary hinted at a malevolent presence that lurked within the depths of Blackwood Manor, feeding on fear and despair. Armed with newfound knowledge from the diary, they decided to perform a ritual in hopes of appeasing the malevolent spirits haunting Blackwood Manor. In a forgotten ritual room, they formed a circle around an altar adorned with faded runes and dried herbs. Candles flickered ominously as they chanted incantations meant to banish the darkness. The manor responded with fury, walls groaned, and the air thickened with unseen presences. Amy glimpsed fleeting apparitions in the candle light, faces contorted in agony and rage. Fear threatened to overwhelm them, but they pressed on, their voices trembling yet determined to confront the evil that had been awakened. With each verse of the incantation, Blackwood Manor shook violently, as if resisting their efforts. The candles burned with an unnatural intensity, casting flickering light that danced on the walls. A spectral figure materialized before them, a manifestation of the manor's tormented souls, their eyes burning with fury and sorrow. They stood their ground, hearts pounding with fear, but resolve firm. Jessica held out the diary, offering peace and redemption to the vengeful spirits. The figure hesitated, its form wavering as if caught between worlds. With a final plea, they urged the spirits to find solace and release their grip on the living. With a final surge of power, Blackwood Manor seemed to relent. The oppressive presence dissipated, leaving behind an eerie silence broken only by their ragged breathing. Moonlight flooded through cracked windows, illuminating dust motes that danced in the newfound tranquility. Lisa collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face as relief washed over them all. They emerged from Blackwood Manor at dawn, the first rays of sunlight casting a warm glow on the once menacing structure. The air felt lighter, devoid of the malevolent forces that had plagued them throughout the night. They knew they had faced true horror and emerged changed, forever haunted by the mysteries of Blackwood Manor. Sarah stands at the top of the subway station stairs, peering down into the dimly lit corridor below. The walls are covered in layers of graffiti, some vibrant and artistic, others faded and ominous. The overhead lights flicker intermittently, casting eerie shadows on the concrete steps leading into the depths. Taking a deep breath, Sarah begins her descent, her footsteps echoing in the silence of the empty stairwell. Sarah navigates the labyrinth in corridors of the subway station, her footsteps echoing off the tiled walls. The air is cool and musty, carrying hints of stale air and distant moisture. Graffiti lines the walls, depicting faces and abstract shapes that seem to watch her every move. Old posters peel off in places, revealing glimpses of advertisements from another era. Sarah feels a sense of unease as she ventures deeper, the corridors twisting and turning in disorienting patterns. Sarah emerges onto the platform, greeted by the eerie silence of the empty station. The fluorescent lights overhead flicker erratically, casting long shadows on the cracked tiles below. Rusted benches line the platform, their surfaces cold and unwelcoming. A faint breeze stirs the air, carrying with it the distant echo of a train approaching. Sarah feels a sense of isolation as she waits alone on the desolate platform, her senses on high alert in the oppressive stillness. As Sarah waits on the platform, she notices shadows moving along the walls, their shapes shifting in the flickering light. They seem to dance and twist unnaturally, defying any logical explanation. Sarah's pulse quickens as she senses a presence, unseen, but palpable in the dimly lit station. She grips her backpack tightly, her eyes scanning the platform nervously. The distant rumble grows louder as a train approaches the platform, its headlights piercing the darkness. Sarah hears the screech of brakes as the train comes to a stop, the door sliding open with a pneumatic hiss. Inside, the carriage is dimly lit, casting long shadows across the empty seats. Sarah hesitates for a moment before stepping inside, the cool air of the subway engulfing her as she finds a seat by the window. The train moves deeper into the tunnels, the rhythmic clatter of wheels on tracks filling the carriage. Sarah looks out the scratched window, watching the flickering lights of the tunnel walls rushing past. In the dimness, she hears faint whispers, their words indistinct yet unsettling. The whispers seem to echo through the empty carriage, their source elusive and mysterious. Sarah disembarks at an old, seemingly abandoned station, the air heavy with the scent of dampness and decay. She steps cautiously onto the platform, her footsteps echoing loudly in the silence. The station is deserted, with rusted benches and cracked tiles under flickering lights. Sarah senses a presence watching her from the shadows, unseen yet palpable in the oppressive atmosphere. As Sarah explores further, She encounters a figure standing in the shadows, a silhouette obscured by darkness. She freezes, her heart pounding, unsure if the figure is real or a figment of her imagination. The figure remains motionless, watching her with an intensity that sends a chill down her spine. Sarah takes a cautious step closer, her breath catching in her throat as she confronts the mysterious presence in the depths of the subway station. With adrenaline coursing through her veins, Sarah turns and runs, her footsteps echoing through the empty corridors of the subway station. She glances back only once, catching a fleeting glimpse of the figure disappearing into the shadows. Sarah emerges into the main corridor, sprinting towards the exit as if pursued by unseen forces. She bursts into the open air, gasping for breath and trembling with relief, the echoes of her ordeal fading behind her in the distance. Story. Sarah emerges onto the bustling city street, her heart still racing from the harrowing experience underground. She looks back at the subway entrance, half expecting to see the shadowy figure watching her from the depths. But the station remains silent and still, blending seamlessly into the urban landscape. With a deep breath, Sarah continues down the street, haunted by the memory of whispers and shadows, forever changed by her journey into the depths of fear. Visual prompt. Shows Sarah standing on the city street, looking back at the